Witch here today to do some storytelling for you from Ethos Family Sport Hub. I just thought I would bring you this lovely story about funny bones. Not too scary, but fun for Halloween. This is Funny Bones by Janet and Alan Alberg. So this is how the story begins. On a dark, dark hill, there was a dark, dark town. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. And in the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. In the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase. Down the dark, dark staircase, there was a dark, dark cellar. And in that dark, dark cellar, there was some skeletons. There was a big skeleton, a little skeleton, and a dog skeleton. One night, the big skeleton sat up in his bed. He scratched his head with his skull and he said, "Let's take the dog for a walk," said the little skeleton. And "Let's frighten somebody," said the little skeleton. "Good idea," the big skeleton said. So the big skeleton and the little skeleton and the dog skeleton all climbed down the dark, dark staircase, stepped out the dark, dark street. They walked past the houses and the shops. They walked past the zoo, the police station, and to the park. The big skeleton scratched his skull. "What shall we do now?" he said. "Let's play in the swing," said the little skeleton. "And throw a stick for the dog and frighten somebody," he said. "What a good idea," the big skeleton said. So the big skeleton, the little skeleton, the dog skeleton walked around the dark, dark pond, past the dark, dark tennis courts, and up the dark, dark swings. They played skeleton and little skeleton on the swings. They threw a stick for the dog. Suddenly, something happened. The dog skeleton chased the stick, tripped over a park bench, and he bumped into a tree. No, he ended up as a pile of bones. "Look at that," said the big skeleton. "He's all come to pieces. What shall we do now? Let's put him together again." So the skeleton said to the big skeleton, the dog skeleton, they put him together again and they sang a song. So the toe bone's connected to the foot bone's connected to the leg bone's connected to the hip bone's connected to the backbone, and they put him back together again. Uh-oh, they all got mixed up. "Is that a toe bone?" said the skeleton. "Where does this one go?" said the big skeleton. When they finished, "That dog looks a little bit funny to me." "So he does," said the little skeleton. "We've got his tail on the wrong end." "Oh," said the skeleton. "Uh-oh." At last, the dog was back together properly, and the little skeleton sang another song. The big skeleton scratched his skull. "That reminds me, we forgot to frighten somebody. Let's do it on the way home." So the big skeleton, the little skeleton, the dog skeleton left the dark, dark swings, out the dark, dark town, and they went and tried to frighten somebody. The trouble was, there wasn't anybody. Everybody was in bed. Even the policemen at the station were in bed. The animals in the zoo were in bed. Everybody was in bed. All of these animals. "Giddy up, Nelly. Good evening. Let's have a cheeky boy then. I have a cup of tea. Pretty Polly put the kettle on." "Let's have a ride on the elephant," said the skeleton. "Let's have a word with the parrot." "Let's keep out of the way," said the crocodile skeleton, and they did. When they were back in the street, they still couldn't find anybody to frighten. "Let's frighten each other. That's a good idea. Better than nothing." So after that, the big skeleton frightened the little skeleton frightened the big skeleton, and the big skeleton frightened the dog skeleton, and they all frightened each other. Meow! Woof! They hid around corners, they frightened each other up and down lampposts, and out about the dustbins, and they frightened each other. And on the way home, they frightened each other again. And that's how the story ends, about the dark, dark hill. In the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street, and in a dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark staircase, and in that dark, dark staircase, there was a cellar, and in that cellar, some skeletons lived. And they still do. The end. Happy Halloween.